Hello and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, friends, family, other random passers-by. My name is Hakon, and today I'm going to go into the Talisman of Death. Well, not into the Talisman, hopefully. I'm going to go into the book, The Talisman of Death, for the fifth time. Fifth time, yes. And today I'm going to do something slightly differently, as I did say in my previous episode, because I have got to the point where it seems I will do the same thing over and over again in the beginning. I've mapped out the beginning of the game rather well, to the point that I realize that it seems like the right way to do it. And so it makes sense to rather start at a later point instead of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, the story so far. In the beginning of this book, you wake up in literally a castle in a cloud, and it turns out you are in a different world to your own. You come from Earth. You are in a world called Orb. Excuse me. And you wake up in the Garden of the Gods, having been trained in swordsmanship for the task of doing the gods' bidding. There are certain things the gods don't do themselves. Things that happen down on the ground, they tend to get people to do it for them. So the gods have tasked you to get the Talisman of Death. The Talisman of Death is a very special artifact, a holy artifact that will let the followers of the god Death summon God to the surface of the world, and in doing so they would actually annihilate all life as we know it and turn his minions into the dominant people in an otherwise dead world, and they would just be living in a sort of half-life undead existence. So they don't want that, of course. This is life versus death, good versus evil in its most classical kind of way. So they have tasked you to get the Talisman of Death and make sure that the minions of death don't get it. Now, the obvious solution to the problem seems to get the talisman and bring it back to your own world, that is, back to Earth, because then it will be inaccessible to the evil denizens of Orb who may want to summon the god Death to annihilate all life. So, easy, right? Yes. So, your journey starts, you are sent down to the ground, and you find yourself in a chasm, a deep chasm, where first thing that happens is you run into a party of adventurers, or what seems like a party of adventurers, who it turns out are on a holy crusade to protect the world from death and from his minions, and also to get the Talisman of Death. These people are extremely good and also very focused on the aim of their mission, and so they sacrifice themselves so that they can give you the talisman, so that you can get teleported to the surface and get away with it and bring it to Earth. So, because they only have the power at that time to teleport one person back to the surface, and they are being overrun by trolls and dark elves and other nasty beings. So, you're now on a mission from God and from the Crusaders to bring the talisman to Earth. And you have been told that the first thing you should do is go to Grey Guilds on the Moor, which is a town or a city, certainly a town of learning, which is a place where they think that you will be able to get more information about how to find a portal back to Earth, so that you can get the talisman safely away. Okay, so you go to Grey Guilds on the Moor. The journey there, you can choose a few different paths with more or less peril. On one of them, you actually walk past the basilisk, which is one of those dangerous creatures that can turn you into stone. You also bump into a druid if you walk through the forest, and that's very useful because he can help you, or his fellow druids can help you later if you have met him. So that is the best path to take. So you go through the forest to the city, and when you get to the city, that is to say, you actually meet the guards of the city outside, and they will try to arrest you unless you pretend to be deaf and dumb and manage to keep up the pretense all the way to the city. If you manage to do that, you will be able to get to the city, and where you will have a few encounters. There's one where you meet the other druid who helps you and gives you a chainmail armor. That means you are better at fighting now. You get a +1 bonus. You also bump into an envoy of death who tries to take the talisman from you, and he has an ability to drain your skill if he hits you, and of course ideally that shouldn't happen. But then eventually, regardless of what you do, there is a point after you get to the town when the talisman will be taken from you, whether it's when you meet the guards outside first, or later after you've had the other encounters. There's always going to be taken from you. And everyone who says something about it are going to say that you should ask the Thieves Guild for help, because the talisman would have been taken to the temple of Fel Kirinla, who is also the goddess who is in charge of all the town watch. They are actually followers of Fel Kirinla. Although sometimes they seem to alternate with the followers of the All Mother, who are the good ones. So there's no way you can go into the temple of Fel Kirinla or break in and get the talisman on your own. You do need the help of the Thieves Guild. If you manage to get there, well, not really trust, I would say, but you manage to get them interested and thinking that there is something in it for them, and without giving too much away, because if they give too much away, they will actually just dispose of you right away or leave you to rot. So there are lots of steps you have to take that have to be just right. If you make one false move, actually, when you are working with the Thieves Guild, that's it. You're out and you're on your own, and there's no way you can do it. Now, there's an interesting mechanic in this book that a few encounters actually, instead of killing you, well, they do kill you in a way, but the thing is that you are saved by the gods who tasked you on the mission in the first place. And they will bring you back to the beginning in the chasm, just as you were being sent up to the surface. So there are, of course, a few false moves that will trigger that happening, and you can start over and try again. So technically, I've only died, twice now in this book, so that's not too bad. I mean, properly died, being defeated completely. Right, so you get the Thieves Guild, and you get them to help you without giving too much away. You don't want to tell them right away that you're going to the temple of Fel Kirinla, because they'll just get rid of you and go and get the riches for themselves. And once inside the temple, you also have to make the right moves to avoid being detected, etc. And then there's a battle with the priestess who took the talisman from you if you got captured by the guards, or the one who will have got the talisman if you got it stolen from you another way. And then you have to get it from her and survive that battle, and then get out again safely as well, because the alarm has been raised. Now, once that is done, you know that you are... Yeah, there's also another person who helps you, by the way, on the way, who also gives you a magical ring that will also give you +1 in combat. So now you have 2 items that give you +1 in combat, which is very useful. And he also tips you about where... He is a sage. Of course, this is a city of learning, a town of learning, and lots of scholars all about. And he also tips you off about when you meet him for the 2nd or 3rd time, I can't remember which now, when he tells you that you have to go to a certain plateau in the mountains where there should be a portal that may take you to Earth. So that is the story so far. You follow his advice on how to leave the city. Through the graveyard, there's a way you can leave the city. Of course, if you make the wrong move in the graveyard, you might actually get overrun by zombies and a ghoul after being lured by a will-o'-the-wisp. It's possible. Almost happened to me last time. And then finally you are outside the city gates, or the city rather, and you are a safe distance from it. That part of the story is over. This is quite episodic, it seems, and you get to the point that I am starting today, which is outside the city, and you have to make a choice of your way to go get to the plateau, and that is where we will begin from each playthrough from now on. So if you want to see how we got there properly, you would have to watch my last video. I guess I'll put a link. Let me see. It's up. Oh, it's mirrored, isn't it? Yeah, so it's up there. Will be the link to the other video. Right. So without too much further ado, I think I shall get my things ready on my desk for you. I'll be with you in a few moments. I'll just do my traditional transition. So there we are. Talisman of Death, Fighting Fantasy Book 11. Let's go. Right, so there we are. I've got my supplies. I'll just change the focus on my screen now so I can see what I'm doing and make sure that everything is in shot. That should be in shot. Okay, so we have my maps from last time. I'm not going to use these because that's all the stuff that I've already done. So there we are, the town, and we journey into the temple of Tolkien-esque. Got my old character sheet, but I've just for tidying it up, I made a new one here. So this is the same character. I'm just keep playing from my save game point. Got my pens, pencil, dice, and my map of the. So this is where I start. This is just after the you get out of the city, out of the town, and you have 3 different ways to choose, 2 different directions you can choose to get to the plateau. I didn't last very long after this, but I think maybe I'll take the same path because there's another option there that I think might solve my problem. So I shall get started. I will start on paragraph 8 is my first one. So and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's a bit windy outside today. The sound recorder may or may not pick it up. Anyway, you put several miles between yourself and Grey Guilds and sleep the night in a haystack. No, sorry, in a hayrick. You awake refreshed, gain 2 stamina points. Well, my stamina is at full. Oh, by the way, yes, just to go through my character as well. So I've got a skill of 12, but I've got 2 bonuses, so I've got 14 for purposes of combat. I've got a stamina of 22, which is full. I've got a luck of 10, which is full. I've used 3 provisions, but I've also got a golden apple, which works like a provision. I've still got my potion of stamina, which restores all my stamina at some point. I've got 14 gold pieces. I've got the Talisman of Death. I've got a chainmail +1 and a ring +1, and I've also got a ring of regeneration that only seemed to work in the Temple of Kirinla, but I still got it, so maybe it will be useful later, or maybe if I just need an item for something, I can use that. So, right. Which direction would you take towards the plateau? You could take the direct route southeast across rough moorland, continue along the old trade road due south for a while and then strike east, or head east across the heath to the hills before turning south. Now, last time I went southeast, so the direct route, and I will do that again. If I'm correct in my guess now, this will actually be, in a way, the safest way to take. The going is difficult, and the darkening skies do nothing to raise your spirits. The talisman becomes heavier with every step, and the pouring rain soaks you to the skin. You are almost thankful when night comes and you can burrow down in the dead bracken. Unfortunately, your sleep is broken by a wild neighing. You jump up to see a massive black stallion, its eyes pits of fire, galloping towards you. It snorts clouds of glowing cinders as it strains at the bit. Its rider, a dark spectral figure, is hunched and twisted and seems to have no substance. You can sense the hatred it feels for all living things. So basically a wraith. Will you run from it, hoping it cannot charge across the broken ground, or light a torch and stand your ground? So, lighting a torch and standing your ground worked last time, so I'm going to still do that. These are very like the ring wraiths in Tolkien, really, in Lord of the Rings. It's yeah, almost too alike, I think. And also the concept of the talisman and having to sort of metaphorically destroy it by taking it out of the world is also just like in Lord of the Rings, really, when you think about it. So you're the ring bearer, or the talisman bearer, and you are trying to get to Mount Doom, pretty much. Your pitch-soaked torch flares brightly. The wraith reins its hell steed in before you. It carries an aura of fear, but you stare defiantly into the black emptiness of its face. It hisses with frustration and, in a voice hoarse with age, says, "Death will take what is his, and you shall become one of us. For we shall return with our full strength. We are the instruments of death." It turns its nightmarish steed and disappears into the night. You rest thereafter if is troubled, and you regain only 1 stamina point. So, at least I get a stamina point if I needed one, so that is +1 stamina there for my map. 154. As the sun rises, you set off once more across the wild plains. With every hour that passes, the talisman seems to grow heavier. You realize that it is registering the presence of the minions of death. Do you wish to examine it again, or keep it hidden in case it may draw them to you? Now, if you keep it hidden, that's when you actually die, so I'm going to examine it again and hope that I get some more clues that will save my life. You take out the talisman and examine it carefully. For the first time, you notice a glowing inscription, as if the nearness of the minions of death was lending it power. So again, like the ring in Lord of the Rings, it's got an inscription that is sometimes visible and glowing. "I am Death's talisman. I am protected by the faceless ones who serve my wielder." So the faceless ones, I guess, are the wraiths. So that means that really I should have power over them if I have the talisman. So yeah. At nightfall, you build a large fire and set torches around it. Unable to sleep, you wait and listen. The talisman grows heavy. Soon the wild neighing which disturbed your sleep yesterday peals again, rending the peace of the night. The chilling challenge is answered again and again. Soon, to your horror, 6 of the nightmarish horses, eyes and nostrils aflame, appear, each bearing the crooked, life-hating spirit of a wraith. They form an arc, all staring at you intently. In unison, their cracked voices cry, "We are the instruments of death. We have come to claim you for our master and to take back his talisman." Will you? Threaten to cast the talisman into the fire? Try to break through the circle? Or try to use the power of the talisman? Right, so we have... Okay. 3 options. Obviously now, because I've examined the talisman, and I know that I should be able to have power over them, I'm going to use the power of the talisman. So I'm just going to put down the other options here first. 1, 6, 4, and 46. So use talisman, break circle, or fire. So I'm going to try to use the talisman and see if I do indeed have power over the wraiths by being the carrier of it. You raise the talisman above your head. It glows as you shout. Begone, trouble me no more. Enthralled, they strain towards it, but your words have an immediate effect. One of them cries, others will take it from you, and we, faceless ones, will return as lords under the reign of our god, Death. His words fade as they are swallowed by the darkness. The talisman feels lighter and its glow has dimmed. You sleep deeply and gain 2 stamina points, which I don't need, but yeah. So stamina plus 2. The next day you set off again, feeling more hopeful now that you have banished the minions of death. The plateau looms before you. Turn to 20. That seemed to me like quite a safe path to get there, so... let's see, so 20. I'm sure... 20. I'm sure this is a choke point for the other paths as well, if you're able to get to it. At last, the steep cliffs surrounding the plateau tower above you. Steps have been cut into the face of the reddish rock, which you begin to climb. By midday, your legs ache abominably, and you are glad to reach a ledge, where you are welcomed by a cool, fine spray rising from a waterfall. It cascades down the side of the plateau, casting small rainbows in the sun, and the thunderous roar is almost deafening. Would you climb on up the steps, or examine the waterfall? So climb up the steps or examine the waterfall. So we have 3 to 8 steps or 33 waterfall. I'm going to examine the waterfall. You approach the waterfall and within moments are soaked through. Looking closer, you see a dry space behind it, under the jutting cliff face. When you jump through, a cave entrance is revealed. Would you enter the cave or leave and continue up the steps? So we can go up the steps or enter the cave. So 42, cave. I'm going to enter the cave because caves are always interesting. So 42. You manage to light a damp torch, which reveals a door at the back of the cave. The door is made of a black wood inlaid with alabaster. Well, that's quite fancy. A raised frieze in the center panel depicts a red dragon, a great flame shooting from its jaws, and an ivory spear. The door creaks as you open it gingerly. Did I say I was going to open it? You step into a passage. The musty air reeks of decay. You come to a place where 4 tunnels cross. Will you? Okay, so advance down the tunnel ahead, take the left-hand tunnel or take the right-hand tunnel. Okay, I didn't expect this to become a dungeon crawl at any point, but okay, let's go. So tunnel ahead, left or right. So I'm going to do like so on my map. So ahead 71, ahead 53, left 80, right. I'm going to go left today. You take the left-hand tunnel, which soon turns to the right and leads into a bare stone room with a small rectangular pillar in the middle. The tunnel continues on the other side of the room. Will you examine the pillar, go straight through the tunnel, or return to where the tunnels crossed and choose again? So I'm given the option of going back to 42, examine the pillar, or go through. Okay, so 136 pillar, 89 straight. I'm going to examine the pillar. An inscription on the rectangular pillar reads, "Put yourself in the place of the monkey. To the left is danger. The idol shall act." Put yourself in the place of the monkey. To the left is danger. The idol shall act. Interesting. As you ponder the meaning of the strange message, a trickle of sand falls on your head. You look up to see the roof cracking and an avalanche of sand starts pouring down. With a grating rumble, a slab of rock starts to fall across the exit ahead. Your only hope is to hurl yourself through the narrowing gap. Roll 2 dice. Rolled an 8. If the total is equal to or less than your skill score, turn to 103. Okay, so that's fine then. So test skill. And so 215 is a failed skill test, and 103 success. You roll through just as the rock slams down with a reverberating crash, inches from your face. You walk down the tunnel until you... Well, let's put a clue there as well. Until you come to a dark iron door. A message has been painted in shimmering letters upon it. One only can be read. One only can be read, maybe. You swing the door open and enter a rectangular room with an iron door in each wall. In the center of the room stand 3 pillars, 1 rectangular, 1 circular, and 1 square. Will you leave the room through one of the other doors, examine the rectangular pillar, the circular pillar, or the square pillar? I can only examine one of them, I presume now. So, okay. Just going to make a little bit of room here, since I don't know what else is going on with the other options now. So we've got... so leave 339, leave, and then it's 290, 321, and 345. So that is the rectangular pillar, and it's the circular pillar, and then it's the square pillar. Okay, but which one? What was it the thing said? I don't think that's a clue to this bit. Put yourself in the place of the monkey. To the left is danger. I can't see any place of the monkey right now. Rectangular, circular, or square? Right, I'll try the circular pillar. In the flickering torchlight, you can see an inscription on the circular pillar. Behind the symbol on the first door lies that which you risk your life for. Okay. I should write these things down because it's all a bit cryptic to me now, but it might all make sense at some point. So, first the monkey one. Because these obviously must be clues to something. So we got, put yourself in the place of the monkey. Put yourself in the place of the monkey. To the left is danger. The idol shall act. That's 1, 3, 6. Then on 3, 2, 1, I get behind the symbol on the first door. Lies that which you risk your life for. Lies that which you risk life for. Okay. Suddenly the 3 pillars disappear. You step back in amazement, but nothing else untoward happens, and the room remains empty. So we decide to leave. Turn to 339. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going over there. 339. It's sniffly today. I think it's the weather has turned. You try all the doors, but you can only get one of them to open. You seem to have no choice, and you go through into the room beyond. It is a wide hall stretching away to the left and right. In the center of the room stands a hideous idol. Its base is the coiled tail of a huge serpent. Its muscular torso sprouts 4 clawed arms, 2 gruesome heads, and bat-like wings. Okay. An inscription on the floor reads, Damol, son of the god Nil, mouth of the void. In the opposite wall are 4 doors, 2 to the left and 2 to the right. Each door bears a symbol. Furthest from you on the left is a green serpent. The next door bears a grinning monkey, the third a black scarab beetle, and the fourth, furthest to your right, a red dragon breathing fire. Okay, so this is where our clues are going to make a little bit more sense, perhaps. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a bit like a puzzle, isn't it? Trying to figure out which is the correct of the 4 doors. So 1, 6, 8 serpent. 3, 3, 2 monkey. 3, 7, 7 scarab. And 3, 5, 2 dragon. So, what did it say? Put yourself in the place of the monkey. To the left is danger. The idol shall act. And the idol, or maybe that's the word play on idol. There are homonyms after all, or homophones. So basically, is that telling me that choosing the serpent door is danger, and that I should choose the monkey door, I guess. But then it says, behind the symbol on the first door lies that which you risk your life for. So is it telling me that behind the serpent door there is something that I want, something useful? So I'm getting conflicting information now. Is it safe to do the monkey door? It's more dangerous to do the serpent door, but the serpent door will give me something else. Well, to the left is danger. Doesn't say death, it just says danger. And I do believe that by now danger is my middle name. So I'm going to go for the serpent door, hoping that there is something useful there, which means I have to be prepared to fight this monster now. Which I am, I think. Or not. As you touch the door, the serpent comes to life. It strikes like lightning, sinking its venomous fangs into your neck. The poison is deadly. You stagger, your blood boiling, but you are paralyzed and cannot even inhale. You die of suffocation. Turn to 43. So that is death. But you go to 43, which is your spirit floats gently towards the valley of death. The featureless wind-blasted plain stretches away endlessly, beyond the horizon. The souls of the dead wander there aimlessly, in solitude. Just as you approach the edge of the valley, an ethereal wind gets up, and your soul is wafted away. Soon you feel yourself in the presence of the two who summon you to this fantastic world of magic. The eyeless being in robes of shifting hues says, "All is not yet lost." You understand the words without hearing them. If your spirit is willing, we will reunite you with your body and turn back the wheels of time. The other being offers you a choice. If you wish it, I will send you back in time. You will be leaving Grey Guilds. Do you wish to go back in time to attempt the quest again? If you do, the being lays a hand on your shoulder. They disappear. You are alive again. You have 15 stamina points and all of the equipment you carried with you when you died, apart from the following, if you had picked them up: the gum of an amber pine, the feather of a rock, the spear, or the scales of a dragon. Cross these off your adventure sheet, you find yourself outside the city of Grey Guilds, turn to 8. So obviously the save point that I chose for myself is exactly the same save point that the gods chose for me as well. So basically, I can actually start again at paragraph 8 now, and like I did myself now, and try again. Okay, so and I will have lost very little, because all the stuff I have is stuff that I found before I left town, so I'll lose a little bit of stamina though. Okay, how long have we been playing for? 39 minutes. Okay, I can do one more run, can't I? So I'm back here at number 8. And I've got 15 stamina. So that's down to 15. And I'm going to go to 8. You put several miles between yourself and Grey Guilds and sleep the night in a hayrick. Gain 2 stamina. So, okay, so stamina is already on the up. I'm just going to go quickly now and do the same thing I did before, because I just want to... Maybe, I mean, those other items that were mentioned there, the only way to get those, I presume, is to go the other directions from number 8 there. So maybe I should go another direction this time. Ooh. So if I go... Oh, excuse me. If I go... Because I know how to get through this one now, but I don't get anything from it, I guess. Apart from the stamina. I'm going to try the next one, which is south and then east. So I'm going to go 300. I think this gives me a good chance to actually examine the different options. As you walk on down the road, leaving all human habitation behind, it begins to rain heavily, transforming the dirt road into a morass of mud. By afternoon, you decide to leave the road and head east through the wilderness. After a hard day's trek, you camp for the night. Your sleep is fitful. You dream of Hakon, clad in a funeral robe, her wound still bleeding. She is the priestess of Fel-Kirinlai that I killed to get the talisman. She is standing at the edge of the valley of death, her hair streaming in a howling wind. She beckons you to follow, then turns and walks down into the blasted desolation of the valley. You wake up feeling on edge and drained of energy, lose 2 stamina points. So down to 15 again. So stamina -2. Turn to 116. So that's not, doesn't sound like the ideal way to go. But maybe I will lose something and gain something. We'll see. You trudge on beneath oppressive grey skies. A talisman seems to wear you down like a millstone round your neck. At last you can see the plateau looming ahead of you, but this does nothing to dispel the nervousness you feel. At dusk you make camp and the dark pall of night engulfs you. Exhausted you fall asleep. A more vivid dream disturbs your rest. Hakon appears again, but her outline is hazy and insubstantial. She beckons once more. The void that separates you is neither time nor space. You feel yourself moving towards her, and everything around you becomes misty and ethereal. You have been drawn to the edge of the Valley of Death. You must fight her. So, I got two options. Let's see. First, I'm going to do 116. And then we have two options. And that is winning 108 and losing 23. So lose, win. Okay, so that it's 10, 12. So I have to fight Hakon again. And I've got 14 skill for combat purposes, 15 stamina. She has 10, 12. So I've got a 4 skill point advantage as we go into the combat. She rolls a 7, I roll a 9, so she's down to 10. She rolls a 6, I roll a 3, so that is still me hitting her. 8 and 11, she's down to 6 hit points. She rolls a 9, I roll an 8, she is down to 4. She rolls a 9, I roll 4, so that is her hitting me. She rolls a 10, I roll an 8, she's down to 2 hit points. And finally, perhaps, she rolls a 5 and I roll an 8 and she is dead. My stamina is 13. And I win and I go to 108. So, you wake up at the start. It is dawn. You regain any stamina points you lost fighting Hakon in the spirit world. Okay, so I'm back to 15. However, you feel as if you had actually fought her and your sleep has had no restorative powers. You gather up your belongings and trudge onward. Turn to 326. So 326. You are nearing mountains which stretch away in a haze of purple to the south. Ahead of you lies the plateau. Suddenly a dark shadow falls around you. Looking up, you see an enormous bird swooping down towards you. Its beak alone is larger than you. Will you stand to fight it, kneel to fight it, or lie prone? Maybe it will pick me up and kill me if I don't duck out of the way. Let's see. So 18, 27, 37. Prone, kneel, stand. Well, it's hard to fight something lying prone, so I'm gonna kneel to fight it. Oh, didn't get to fight it. The rock misses you and soars up into the sky. Luckily, its attention is distracted by larger prey. Like elephants, I guess. The rock swoops again with a roar of wind and carries off a wild horse. Grateful for your luck, you hasten on towards the plateau. Turn to 20. And this is where you get to the choke point with the other path at 20. So, let's see. At last, the steep cliff surrounding the plateau tower above you. Steps have been cut into the face of the reddish rock, which you begin to climb. By midday, your legs ache abominably, and you are glad to reach a ledge where you are welcomed by a cool, fine spray rising from a waterfall. It cascades down the side of the plateau, casting small rainbows in the sun, and the thunderous roar is almost deafening. Will you climb up the steps or examine the waterfall? I'm going to examine the waterfall again because I don't feel I'm done in there yet. You approach the waterfall and within moments are soaked through. Looking closer, you see a dry space behind it, under the jutting cliff face. When you jump through, a cave entrance is revealed. Will you enter the cave? Yes, I will. You manage to light a damp torch, which reveals a door at the back of the cave. The door is made of a black wood inlaid with alabaster. A raised frieze in the center panel depicts a red dragon, a great flame shooting from its jaws, and an ivory spear. The door creaks as you open it gingerly. You step into a passage. The musty air reeks of decay. You come to a place where 4 tunnels cross. Will you advance down the tunnel ahead? Take the left-hand tunnel or take the right-hand tunnel? Right, so I know the left-hand tunnel gets to an interesting place with these pillars and doors. What about the other directions? Maybe there's something interesting there too. So I'm going to turn right this time. You take the right-hand tunnel, which soon turns left. You come out into a bare stone room with a small square pillar in the center. Oh, I see. These have different shapes too. Okay, so the pillar that I looked at was rectangular. I'll just put that down in case that is relevant. So that is going straight. There is return. And there is examine the pillar. And this is a square pillar. Okay, so 302. That is the square pillar. And 260 through. Okay, there's a pattern emerging here. You step forward and in the flickering torchlight read an inscription on the square pillar. Furthest from the poison of the scarab beetle, you will find a venom more deadly than dragonfire. Okay, so it's telling me do not take the left door. Okay, that's right. Because the scarab is the third door from the left, which means that the furthest from it is the door on the far left, which is the serpent, which is the one I picked last time. As you ponder the meaning of this strange message, a trickle of dust falls into your hair. As you look up, the ceiling begins to descend with a roar. Oiled spikes slide down towards you, protruding from the rock. A crushed skeleton is impaled on one of them. You jump forward as, with a grating rumble, a slab of rock starts to fall across the exit ahead. Your only hope is to throw yourself through the narrowing gap. Excuse me. Roll 2 dice. So 8, that's less than my skill. So we have again test skill. And 103. Oh, hang on, that's the same as the one before, actually. So I don't need 2 of those. So I'll just move down here. Like so. So, success, 103. You roll through just as the rock slams down with a reverberating crash, inches from your face. You walk down the tunnel until you come to a dark iron door. A message has been painted in shimmering letters upon it. On one only can be read. You swing the door open and enter a rectangular room with an iron door in each wall. In the center of the room stand 3 pillars, 1 rectangular, 1 circular, and 1 square. So it's the same one as before. I've read the rectangular one. Maybe I'll do the square one this time. Oh. Furthest from the poison of the scarab beetle. Are they identical? Okay, so that's all the square pillars have the same information. Okay, so that's interesting. That basically means you get to read 2 different ones. Once you know that, because this one says the same as the other square one. Furthest from the poison of the scarab beetle, you will find a venom more deadly than dragonfire. Okay. And then it's 339. And we are back to the choice of doors. You try all the doors, but you can only get one of them open. You seem to have no choice, and you go through into the room beyond. It is a wide hall stretching away to the left and right. In the center of the room stands a hideous idol. Its base is the coiled tail of a huge serpent. Its muscular torso sprouts 4 clawed arms, 2 gruesome heads, and bat-like wings. An inscription on the floor reads, Damol, son of the god Nil, mouth of the void. In the opposite wall are 4 doors, 2 to the left and 2 to the right. Each door bears a symbol. Furthest from you on the left is a green serpent. The next door bears a grinning monkey, the third a black scarab beetle, and the fourth a red dragon. Now, I'll go with the monkey door this time because that seemed like a plausible clue to start with, didn't it? So. The wall opens to reveal a blank wall of rock. It is a false door. You close it and the monkey's grin seems to mock you. You may choose another door. Okay. So the monkey door leads to nothing but the other doors. Okay, so I'm not taking the serpent door. I can't do the monkey door. So, scarab door, I suppose. The door will not open. As you try again, you hear a noise behind you. You wheel around in time to see the idol cracking open like an egg, scattering 1,000 shards of rock across the room. Out rides Damol, the monstrous son of the god Nil, mouth of the void. He moves slowly but purposefully towards you. You fight him, but he is invulnerable. Your sword makes no impression and you cannot do him harm. You realize your only chance is to escape through one of the doors. You jump back. Which door will you try? So, that means that in the end, there's only one door that actually leads anywhere, and that is the dragon door. So I'm going to go to the dragon door. You open the door and step through into a passage. You have only gone a few steps when you hear the rattle of a falling chain, and as a portcullis drops behind you, blocking the tunnel. You can only go into the small room ahead of you. It is a dank crypt, at the end of which lies a sarcophagus, thickly covered in grey mould. You search every nook and cranny, but you cannot find a way out. You are trapped. Eventually you decide to lift the lid of the sarcophagus. The rank and fetid air trapped inside since time immemorial smells sickly sweet. Inside lie the mummified remains of a warrior, his skin stretched taut over brittle bones. A skeletal hand is curled around an ancient scimitar encrusted with emeralds, and an ebony spear with an ivory tip lies across his chest. Will you take the sword or the spear? I think the spear is more tempting, actually. Because the clue was really on the door, wasn't it? Outside. It was a picture of a red dragon, and there was a picture of a spear. And so far, your choice was supposed to be the dragon, and now the choice should really be the spear if the clues are to be followed. So, 387 sword or 395 spear. So I'm going to take the spear. You take the heavy spear and, looking closer, see that the word Dragon's Bane is carved on its shaft. It is obviously magical, and you may add 1 to your skill score when wielding it. So now I have a spear +1 as well. And I got 15 skill for fighting. With the creak of old bones, the mummy rises from the sarcophagus. It lumbers drunkenly towards you, clutching his scimitar, bent on destroying the despoiler of its tomb. And it's got a skill of 8 and a stamina of 10. So it's got 8, 10. I am at 15. 15. I probably should get some stamina soon. So I've got an advantage of 7 skill points. So he's in trouble, basically. First round, yeah, that's he down. He rolls 10, I roll 7, he's down to 6. He rolls an 8, I roll 6, he's down to 4 hit points. He rolls 7, I roll a 4, and he's down to 2. And finally, perhaps, he rolls a 9, and I roll an 8, and he is dead. Again. It's always so annoying to die for the second time, isn't it? Poor undead. Okay, so spear +1 and 8, 10 and 350. Win. Okay. You notice that the base of the sarcophagus is hollow, and you break through it to find a tunnel below. You jump down and feel your way along its damp-walled windings. At last you see a circle of daylight ahead. You emerge onto the steps again, some way above the roaring waterfall, and begin to climb. Turn to 328. And that is here as well. So I can go, let's see, I'll just do something like, well, that's a little bit, okay, so all this cave thing here, that's just a detour from here to here. But I have a spear to show for it, so maybe that is a good thing. And it seems to be a spear that's very good for killing dragons. As you climb the step, the temperature and humidity increase. Dripping with sweat, you look up and see the lip of the cliff is only 60 meters above you. Suddenly, several boulders crash down from the top. Roll 2 dice. That's a skill test again, and I roll an 8. So test skill, and that is, let's see, I'll move it up here, I think. So 300 and so 277. Fail. Or 308. Success. So 308, I succeeded. And you flatten yourself against the cliff just in time. The boulders hurtle past and explode as they hit the step just below you. You carry on warily climbing up the steps. Turn to 192. At last you reach the floor of the plateau itself. It seems your aching legs have forgotten how to walk on level ground. The vegetation is lush, like a tropical rainforest, and your clothes cling to you damp with perspiration. This is a bit like the Lost World, isn't it? Which is who was that again? Is it H.G. Wells or Ray Bradbury? When you have one of these big plateaus in South America somewhere, and on top of the plateaus, on sort of flat table mountains, there's a lush rainforest. There are waterfalls going off all around, and basically it's almost impossible to get up there. And people were speculating, and indeed that's the story of the Lost World, I think, was that there were still dinosaurs living there in that sort of rainforest on top of the flat plateau mountain. So this feels a bit like that, actually. As you pause to listen to the screech of a scarlet macaw, a group of hogmen burst from the vegetation in front of you. They are blue-grey, hairy, and have heads like tusked bulls. Will you tell them that you mean no harm, or attack them? So we have 172 attack and 151 no harm. Right, come in peace. I'm going to tell them I mean no harm. They stare, and you cannot be sure what effect your gestures are having, or even if they can understand you at all. Will you offer them some dried meat if you have any left? Offer them a ruby if you have one, or attack them. So, okay. I don't have a ruby, so that's out of the question. Ruby or dried meat. Well, the dried meat has worked before with the wolf in the forest early on, so I'm going to try that again, seeing that as that is my only option there without attacking them. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Deduct 1 unit of provisions from adventure sheet. Yeah. Too late, you realize you're handing them salted pork. The hogmen are offended. They demand in grunts that you go with them to their village. Will you go with them or refuse? Refusing is the same as attacking them. I suppose I'll go with them. 365. The village is composed of several elegant buildings made from wattle daubed with clay. A deep dry moat and spiked palisade surround it. You are led through the village to what must be the Hedgehog's dwelling, a two-storied building, part of which is built from crumbling green stone. A huge mud wallow lies nearby. The Hedgehog sits on a carved stone throne, his muscles rippling under his blue-black skin. He wears a red robe, fastened at his thick neck with a necklace of amber. He seems at ease, but he demands to know why you, a human, are on the plateau. Right, so, am I going to say that I mean no harm? You're searching for the portals on Mount Starreach, or you tell him you're looking for a lost city. I'm not looking for a lost city, am I? So, I'm going to say that I am looking for Mount Starreach. So, let's just see. Let's get the two options in there. So, a lost city. 110 Starreach. Where would I get the idea from anyway that I was looking for a lost city? Has somebody told me there's a lost city up here? I can't remember anyone saying anything about that. So, why would I even think that? The Hoglord says, I will help you, man-thing, for you may help me. An ancient red dragon has its lair within Mount Starreach. It is the guardian of the portals. So obviously the spear looks like an essential item that you actually need to kill the dragon, perhaps. It is the guardian of the portals. The last time it awoke, which was before my children were born, it has spoiled our villages. You must slay it before you can go through the portals. It breathes fire which one cannot withstand, save when one is sheltered by scales from the dragon itself. You must steal 3 of the scales from its lair and fashion a shield out of them. It gives you a parting gift, a stoppered gourd containing the gum of an amber pine, with which to make the shield. You dine with them on mangoes, nuts, and guavas. Gains 2 stamina points, so 17. You thank them and leave. After a long climb, you come to a wide cave mouth reeking of sulfur, the dragon's lair. You decide to enter. That was quite quick. Going straight from dinner to fight a dragon. See, all in a day's work, isn't it? Right, so turn to 7. Okay, 7. This is probably a good idea for a save point, by the way. Just before I enter the dragon's lair. Thank you very much. I'm going to push Control S right now and save the game. Okay. Or F2, I think it was in the old days. To save the game. Okay. You light a torch, of which you seem to have an endless supply, by the way, and enter the cavern, which stretches away into blackness. You scramble across the cavern floor until you see a small, smooth-walled tunnel branching off from the main tunnel. The strong smell of sulfur seems to pervade both. Will you walk down the wide and rocky main tunnel or investigate the narrow tunnel? Doesn't it sound a bit like The Hobbit again? I mean, there's a lot of Tolkien references in this one, so I'm going to go down the narrow tunnel. So, because there was a narrow side tunnel, wasn't it, that Bilbo Baggins used to get into the lair of Smaug. So 48 narrow, or 378 main. Because if you go down the main tunnel, that is big enough for the dragon to go through as well, so he might actually come and face you before you're ready. This narrow side tunnel, he can't get through that, but you can, so yeah, that's the idea anyway. You walk down the winding tunnel for some time until it opens out into a large cavern. In front of you is the ridged back of an immense dragon. It is about 18 meters long and is covered in thick red scales. Its long tail is curled round a vast hoard of treasure, gems, gold goblets and vases, which lies higgledy-piggledy beneath its bulk. A few of its old scales are littered around it. Will you thrust your spear, if you have one, into its scaly back? Try to grab some of its scales, try to grab some of the dragon's treasure, or leave the cavern. So that is 4 options. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So 285. Spear. 269 scales. 38 treasure. Sounds like a terrible idea. Or 369 leave. Right. So I'm going to try to grab some of its scales. So I can fashion my shelf. I almost said my shelf. Grab some of its scales so I can fashion myself a shield. Yeah. You tiptoe forward stealthily and pick up 3 of the scales which the dragon has shed. Each is as long as a man's forearm. Cautiously, you tiptoe out of the cave and continue up the mountain. Turn to 310. Why am I continuing up the mountain? I don't know, I thought I was just going to make a shield. Do you have a gourd filled with gum of an amber pine? If you do, turn to 385. Gum. Yes or no? Let's see. So we have... so 3, 69, no. All 3, 85. 85. 85, yes. I do have the gourd. I'm going to 385. Pausing in a gully, you examine the scales. You fit them together to form a shield, and using the gum of the amber pine, you bond them together. Turn to 69. 69. Just occurs to me I should have been... I only got 17 stamina. Actually, 17 stamina isn't too bad, but I should have eaten at some point now. You climb on, gasping for breath in the thin air. At last you reach the flat summit. The panorama is incredible. The whole plateau lies below you like a table. A collage of tropical forests, mountains, and huge lakes which glisten in the sun. 30 meters away is a rectangle of shimmering silver, hanging in the air unsupported. You realize that this is the portal. As you step towards it, you hear the rushing of wind. Looking up, you see the ancient red dragon coming in to land beside the portal. Outside its lair, the dragon is even more impressive and fearsome. Warmth and power seem to radiate from its body. I am bound by the gods to guard the portal, it says in its rich, mellow voice. Would he run to attack the dragon? Tell him that death threatens the world, or threaten it. This feels like very close to the end now. Okay. So there's attack. Three, 5, 8. Death. Or 275. Threaten. Do I have to kill the dragon? Can I reason with him? I'll try to reason with him and tell him that death threatens the world. Its mellow voice carries across the wind. I know nothing of death. He cannot touch me. I am the guardian placed here by the gods, nothing more, nothing less. Will you tell it about the talisman and its importance, or run to attack the dragon? Okay. So 211. 211. Talisman. I'm going to tell him about the talisman then. The dragon says, "This is a grave matter indeed. The talisman must go through the portal. I will tell you something. I cannot pass through the portal. As you can see, it is too small for my bulk. You can pass through, but only if you leave behind any metal you are carrying. The gods have set a powerful magic to stop weapons being brought through from the other side. I will let you pass, but for your own sake, you must do as I suggest." But my spear isn't metal, though. So that really should be something I could keep. Because my spear is made of what was it again? Ivory and ivory and bone, isn't it? So wooden ivory. Yeah. Anyway, so 2 options. Oops, that's the wrong arrow. So 178. Take you for a fool, or lay down everything. So. Is he being cunning and trying to trick me, or is he trying to be helpful? Right, I still have the shield though. I mean, if I don't have, actually technically, if this paragraph leaves me without the shield and the spear, which both are not made of metal, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed with the writer of this book and say that I'm not going to, because those are not metal and so they should be possible for me to keep. And so I'm going to lay down my metal stuff and I'll see what happens. Yes. So yeah, I'm not gonna go with this ending because it actually is written in a way that is it doesn't work. So that actually is an end. So I'm gonna, yes, because then it shows that you don't. So obviously the writer didn't think this all the way through. It's not metal that is the problem. It is the writer that is the problem, and I'm going to then go to 178 because I need to kill the dragon. The dragon says, "You must believe me. If you do not, you will die trying the portal, and I cannot carry the talisman through. Its honey-smooth voice beguiles you with its gentle charm. Test your luck." I managed to succeed there, and test luck, and we've got, by the way, this is 43. And 118 unlucky, and 129 lucky. Now this is how dragons actually are supposed to be in these kinds of games. They are supposed to be cunning and try to trick you if they are evil dragons, and they're supposed to be very sort of seductive and beguiling and charismatic. And so very often when you encounter a dragon in these kinds of, I mean, in fighting fantasy, they're sort of, oh, it's a monster. But no. Like, a dragon is a lot more than just a monster. So, you realize that the dragon is beguiling you and that you should never allow a dragon to engage you in conversation. You run forward to attack him. So we're all back to attacking him anyway, which would have saved us a lot of time there. As you charge at the dragon, it breathes a tongue of rolling flame at you. You crouch behind your shield, which protects you from the fiery blast. Before you can attack, the dragon, roaring in anger, swipes at the shield with a massive claw. Roll 2 dice. If the roll is less than your skill, 10 to 34, yeah, well, it is less than the skill. So let's see. So we've got attack there, and maybe I should move it to the other side actually, in case there are other paragraphs coming up. So we got 282 attack, and like so. Let's remove it from there. Let's get that out of the way there. Okay. So, 382 rather. 382. Okay. So test skill. And so that is fail, success, that's 79 or 34. So I'm going to 34. Deftly you dodge the flailing claw and move into the attack. Do you have a spear? If you do, turn to 51. I like how they just call it a spear, because obviously there's only one of them, so there's no Dragon's Bane. Do you have the Dragon's Bane spear or anything like that? It would have given people more of a clue, I suppose, if we get to this point, what exactly that spear is and what it does. So spear, question mark, and then it's yes or no. 10, no. 51, yes. So I do have a spear. You attack the dragon. I shall rend you limb from limb, it roars. The great claws swipe at you as it tries to crush your head in its enormous jaws. You dodge to one side as it leaps at you and thrust your spear at its soft underbelly. Each time you make a successful attack, deduct 5 stamina points from the dragon's total as a magical spear seems to bite deep into its flesh. If you reduce the dragon's stamina to 5 or less, turn to 29. Okay, so I only need to hit it a few times with the spear. So I have 15, 17. The dragon has 12, 20, but I do extra damage. So let's see. So I got a 3 skill point advantage over the dragon. He rolls a 7. I roll a 7, so he's down to 15 stamina. He rolls an 8. I roll a 6. So he is down to 10. He rolls a 9. I roll a 7. So he is down to 5 hit points. And I turn to 29. So let's see, 12, 20, asterisk there for special rules. And 20, 29, 5 or less, Okay. Suddenly your weapon is failing at air. The dragon has changed into an old man with long white hair wearing a white robe. Spare me, I beg you, he implores in a thin, reedy voice. At last you have lifted the curse that was upon me. Only a strong warrior like yourself could have done it. When I came through the portal many centuries ago, I was doomed to stay in the form of a dragon until I was beaten in combat. Now that I am myself again, I can return to my world. Will you step through the portal with me? This could be another trick, though. Will you agree and walk with him into the silver shimmering portal, or attack him? So this could be the dragon's final trick, of course. Now, basically, if this is the final choice in the book and going through the portal is success or not, and making the wrong choice here means dying, there is no point for me to go back and do exactly the same thing again. So regardless of what happens now, I will say that this is over if that is all there is to it. If there's something else I'm missing, then I would have to play it again, but it wouldn't be any fun doing exactly the same thing over and over now, just for once more, just for that final choice. So I'm going to attack him actually, because I don't trust him at all. Your first blow is fatal. Blood spurts from a gaping wound and the old man falls to the ground. You step back as he turns once more into his normal form, that of the huge red dragon. The guardian dragon of the portals is dead, so it just sounds like that was a trick. I'll just double check and see what happens now. Yeah, that's the other choice would have been the wrong one. So I am then transported to, let's see, there we are, paragraph 400. Let's see what it says on 400. Before you step through the portal, you drink in the splendid view of this fantastic and magical world for a little longer. The glittering lakes and emerald forest shimmer in the haze of heat. The talisman is heavy at your chest. With a final prayer to the All-Mother, You step into the silvery screen of the portal, remembering the 4 crusaders who gave you your quest. And they gave their lives for you and your quest as well. You meet no resistance as you pass through the screen. All goes dark, and then a very different landscape lies before you. You are within a circle of standing stones. The smells, the air, the birdsong, everything seems strange, but you know that you have found your way back to Earth. You are a hero, savior of the world of Orb. There is no one here to herald your return. As you step away from the standing stones, voices speak within your head. The 2 beings who summoned you to Orb are thanking you for saving the world. At last they tell you who they are. Time, eldest father, youngest son, and fate, keeper of the balance, both gods of Orb. As you leave this sacred place, their final words ring in your ears. We may call upon you again. Which I don't think ever happened, but there you have it. And here we also have a nice little list of more fighting fantasy in puffins. And we've got the Warlock of Firetab Mountain, Citadel of Chaos, Forest of Doom, Starship Traveler, all the way to House of Hell. And then it says, in preparation, coming soon, number 12, Space Assassin, number 13, Freeway Fighter, and 14, Temple of Terror. So that means this is actually a first reprint, actually. Yeah, first published 1984, reprinted 1985. So this is from early 1985 in that case. And there we have it. And that is, I must say, really, really my favorite fighting fantasy book so far, because the way the story is structured, you're actually feeling more part of a proper dramatic narrative than you have been, I think, in any of the other books I've played so far. I think Freeway Fighter, perhaps, because of the sort of ongoing story and what you're trying to achieve there. That feels quite nice. But in this one, almost every step of the way, you are feeling like you're part of an ongoing narrative. You are encountering characters that actually have character traits that you sort of latch onto right away. They're well described, like the thieves of the Thieves Guild, for instance. And you have a lot of choices here that lead to, not to death directly, but they lead you to being sent back in time, or having the option of being sent back in time to try again. And of course some that just plain lead to death as well. But there are lots of places where the gods can save you, although that has its limitations, of course, as well. So, a very interesting book, very interesting story, and I think I can say this is my favorite so far in the series. Really well written, although, of course, that thing with the metal, that could have been done a little bit better. It could have just said that, okay, you can't bring any items with you, which would have made sense, and that would have sorted it out. But by saying you can't bring metal, you actually saying that, well, you got the Red Dragon Scale shield and the spear, both not made of metal. You would have still been ready to combat him if need be, and he wouldn't have been defeated, as it said in the book. And so that's a little flaw there. But yeah, it's a well-structured and well-written book overall, and I really like it. So, if you watched this far, if you watched all the episodes, of course, before, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it when people take the time to watch my videos. I really enjoy making them. If people enjoy watching them, all's the better. So, and next time I play fighting fantasy, I will go back into space, actually, with the much thinner, well, not that much thinner, but quite a bit thinner, Space Assassin, which is a thrilling futuristic adventure in which you are the hero. Fighting fantasy game book number 12 will be my next one, and this is written by Andrew Chapman, so another writer, different writer from the other ones, that I've encountered so far. So it will be a different style again, I hope and presume. And also after this very Tolkien-esque kind of story, it'll be nice with something a little bit sci-fi, I think, as an antidote to the high fantasy. So, and that's it for today. Thanks for watching again. Please like, share, subscribe, all those things if you enjoy this, and join my Patreon if you like as well, if you want to support what I'm doing and make more videos. And I will see you again next time with more fighting fantasy fun as I go into Space Assassin. But for now, we are saying goodbye to Talisman of Death. Great book. So, goodbye for now. Bye-bye.